Special Fondness. Chapter 25. The wound on Fang Su's forehead took about 10 days to heal. Tang Jiaoyuan took off the white gauze for Fang Su for the last time. Seeing that the wound had completely scabbed over, he finally let out a sigh of relief. He carefully rubbed the skin around that was intact and asked, "Does it still hurt?" Fang Su shook his head. Tang Jiaoyuan didn't dare to really touch it, but Fang Su was not worried as much. He stretched his own hand and used his fingertips to gently touch it as he replied, "It hurt a bit when it's pressed, but I don't feel a headache anymore." Tang Jiaoyuan frowned and hurriedly pulled down his hand and held it. Then he said in a reproaching tone, "Then don't touch it. The gauze was just taken off. It took too long already." Fang Su pursed his lips and didn't refute. He only nodded and replied, "I will be a little more careful." As soon as his voice died down, an old memory suddenly came into Fang Su's mind. It happened a while ago. It was actually a pitiful situation, but remembering it at this moment, he found it a bit funny. Looking at the anxious expression of his man, he didn't dare tell what was on his mind lest he ended up distressing him. Fang Su wanted to relay how when he was little, he was punished by kneeling down by his stepmother. He had forgotten the reason he was being punished and only remembered that it was already night time then and that he was extremely tired. He was punished to kneel for a whole night and reflect in the outside courtyard. He didn't have the best of health when he was young, so as he was kneeling, he quickly dozed off with his head lolling back and forth. In the end, his body fell down with a thud with his forehead hitting the ground. As luck would have it, a rough pebble cut through an inch of his skin. Fang Su burst into tears from the pain, which woke his father up, who then went to take a look. Taking pity on him, his father took him back inside his room to rest, and when his stepmother saw the blood trickling down his head, she didn't pursue the matter anymore. At that time, the young Fang Su obviously got a cut on his head, but at the same time, he felt that he was lucky that he could finally sleep on the bed. The wound on his head was not treated with expensive ointment but with just a few medicinal herbs that his father picked up in the forest. Despite of that, his wound healed fully. Now, even if one looked at it closely, no scar could be seen. Fang Su was thinking about it and then lifted a hand to touch that place from what he remembered and turned toward Tang Jiaoyuan to ask, "Jiaoyuan, my wound isn't shallow. Is it going to leave a scar later?" Tang Jiao saw that he was deep in thought, but when he heard his question, he couldn't help but smiled. He dropped a kiss on his healing wound and replied, "The doctor said that it won't. But even if it did leave a scar, it doesn't matter." "Really?" Fang Su asked in hesitation as he seemed to be in doubt. He was not a girl and wasn't really bothered if he was good looking or not. But even so, he at least didn't want to be ugly. More so now that he had a companion by his side. In his opinion, Tang Jiaoyuan had a dignified appearance and deserved someone worthy enough. Fang Su would prefer to at least be able to raise his head when he stood next to him, and was afraid that if he had a scar, it would make him lose face. As this thought formed in Fang Su's heart, he couldn't help but voicing it out, "Other people may find a scar on the forehead repugnant to look at. There's no need to worry." Tang Jiaoyuan held his chin and turned his head over to take a look at him. With a contemplative expression, he pretended to be serious as he replied, "A scar is nothing scary but a distinguishing feature. I can just address this side as ugly Su." Then he purposely lifted one hand to cover that side of Fang Su's face and said, "While this is pretty Su." Then he switched hand again and said with much amusement, "Ugly Su. Pretty Su. Hey? Such a good Su, and I actually have two of them." Tang Jiaoyuan laughed and pulled him in his arms. Fang Su couldn't help smiling at this. With eyes full of laughter, he put his arms around Tang Jiaoyuan's back when he was pulled in a tight hug. His heart felt so full. The grief that he experienced in his childhood and the dangers that he went through was probably something that others would never have to get through in a lifetime. However, if it was because of them that he got to have someone such as Tang Jiaoyuan, then he could only be thankful that it happened to him. Fang Su was reluctant to let go as he heard Tang Jiaoyuan teased him at this moment to gently coax him, my Su is so good looking. Even if it leaves a scar, he's still good looking. After he said that, he bowed down and kissed the top of Fang Su's head. Fang Su didn't want to break the pleasant atmosphere, but eventually, he couldn't bear it anymore and moved slightly. After he got a few inches away from him, he hesitantly said, "Qiao Yuan, I haven't washed my hair for days." Tang Qiao Yuan was slightly startled, he raised his eyebrows and laughed out loud. He was thinking that his Fang Su obviously have not spoken in this way before. Just a dozen days ago, Fang Su's face would have gotten red from embarrassment about asking for boiled water for the bath and didn't expect that he could also poke fun at him now. The man laughed for a long while, stretched a hand to touch Fang Su's hair that hasn't been washed for days, then nodded and said, "Then I will wash it for you however late it was, and it just so happens that it's bath time." Fang Su nodded. Tang Qiao Yuan got up from bed and went to the courtyard to order people to boil some water. As he was walking to the corridor, he suddenly remembered something and knocked on the windows. "Su, now that the gauze has been removed, let's go out for a walk tomorrow. You were trapped inside the mansion for half a month already." Fang Su immediately replied all right, as he had become accustomed to. He rarely said no to his man. By the time that he heard the footstep had gone further away, only then did he slowly felt stunned and remembered the scar on his forehead. Basically, he was still reluctant to let strangers see it. Just as he was worrying about it, another voice approached as the girl stopped behind the curtain and greeted, "Madam, this servant has brought you the medicine. If it is convenient for you, this servant is coming in." "All right," Fang Su nodded in agreement. Bai Ping opened the curtain. When she handed him the medicinal soup, her brows furrowed as she heard him spoke bashfully, "I've troubled Miss Bai Ping." Bai Ping was used to him being courteous and knew that he was just naturally like this. He was not deliberately distancing himself. Thus, she did not try to tease him like before. She just smiled and replied, "Madam is being too polite." Holding the bowl of medicine in his hands, Fang Su silently looked at it and did not even use that spoon. Holding the bowl, he quickly drank the medicine. It was so bitter that it made him frown. Bai Ping, who was looking at the side, couldn't help but smiled slightly. She took the empty bowl and asked, "Does Madam want to try some candied fruits? This servant will go to fetch some for you." "It will not be necessary," Fang Su waved his hand, "the medicine was just bitter." "Miss Bai Ping, until when do I need to drink this medicine? The wound on my forehead has already scabbed over and I don't get headaches anymore. The gauze was taken off today and it's practically healed." He said these words very seriously and somewhat tactfully, but the clever Bai Ping could immediately hear what he was actually trying to say. The young woman smiled and noticed that although Fang Su was smart, he was very naive most of the time. All his inner thoughts were written all over his face. Just now, it seemed that he was simply stating the facts, but he was actually complaining about the bitterness of the medicine and didn't want to drink it anymore. Bai Ping intentionally did not expose him and replied just as seriously, "Although the wound has scabbed over, it cannot be counted as healed. Madam still needs to nurse it with several doses of medicinal soup. We have to be careful about it." Fang Su's expectant eyes showed some disappointment for an instant, but he did not say anything and obediently nodded. Bai Ping let out a pff, but she hurriedly lifted her sleeve to cover her lips. Though she was very amused, she really couldn't bear to tease him anymore and comforted instead, "Madam, please bear with it for a few more days. Next time, this servant will also bring you some candied fruits along with the medicine." It would have been better if she hadn't comforted him. Being comforted like this, Fang Su's cheeks flushed with shame as his hidden agenda was exposed in the open. Being found out by a young woman that an almost 20 years old man like him was trying to avoid taking bitter medicine, he felt very embarrassed. Fang Su lowered his eyes with his lips pursed. Bai Ping was worried that he would be even more embarrassed if she continued to chuckle, so she purposely changed the topic. "That's right, madam. Master has reminded this servant that the weather is getting hotter and it's time to add new clothes that are lighter and thinner for you. The clothes were prepared perfunctorily when you first came. Now that new additions are going to be made, it's better to ask for your preference. Sure enough, Fang Su was distracted. He raised his eyes to look at her and shook his head as he answered, I am fine with anything. You may do as you please. There is no need to consider my opinion. That wouldn't do, Bai Ping answered with a smile. The master would only be satisfied if it's exactly what you like, or else, no matter how expensive it may be, he might throw it out of the courtyard. It was simply a joke, but Fang Su took it seriously and hastily replied, then add some with light colors. I'll like them all. It would be a pity if anything gets thrown away. Yes, Bai Ping heard this and bowed to reply, this servant will remember that. Fang Su heard the smile in her words and understood that she took advantage of him being flustered, but it was all in good intentions. What, throwing it out in the courtyard? Aren't the clothes he was wearing kept in the chest? Fang Su looked at the young woman helplessly and did not know what to say. Just at this moment, the man who went to ask people to boil water had returned. Bai Ping turned sideways and saluted Tang Qiaoyuan when he came in. Then she left the room with the empty bowl, leaving the two of them alone. Tang Qiaoyuan sat back on the couch and gathered Fang Su's long hair that was scattered on his back to one side in front of him. Then he stretched his hand to touch the back of Fang Su's neck to see if he was sweating from feeling stuffy. His palm felt warm but saw no sweat in it, so he asked directly, Does Su feels hot? It's already this late but I don't feel hot. Fang Su shook his head, it did feel stuffy during the daytime but I don't often sweat or got all sticky. But it couldn't be that comfortable, Tang Qiaoyuan said with a smile. In the future, if you feel stuffy during the daytime, then ask people to go to the ice cellar to get some ice, or cool some mung bean soup for you to drink. Fang Su had never heard of an ice cellar before and immediately showed a curious look. Tang Qiaoyuan could see it and said with a smile, Tomorrow I'll take you there to take a look. All right. Fang Su happily nodded. The hot water for the bath wasn't ready yet. As Tang Qiaoyuan and Fang Su waited together, they were bored with nothing to do, so he asked, What did Su talk about with Bai Ping just now? Miss Bai Ping said that she will get some summer clothes for me. Fang Su pulled on his own sleeves and replied, Qiaoyuan, the one I am wearing is quite thin enough. There is actually no need to buy some more. It's necessary. Tang Qiaoyuan's expression was serious. I have two Su, one person's clothes aren't going to be enough. Fang Su was stunned at first. Then he immediately remembered what this man had said a while ago. He couldn't help but laughed as his man hugged him and was kissed twice. Everything has to come in double. Fang Su's low chuckle was incessant. After a while, he gently touched Tang Qiaoyuan's forefinger as he replied in a low voice, But one Qiaoyuan is enough for me. Tang Qiaoyuan pursed his lips as he gripped Fang Su's hand and slowly interlocked their fingers together. End chapter. Special Fondness. Chapter 26. After some time, the servants carried a few buckets of hot water and entered the room and poured it into the bathtub as a mist raised behind the screen. Fang Su walked closer to it, his left hand pulled up his sleeve as he used the other hand to check the water's temperature. He felt that the water was slightly too hot and thought that they should wait a bit more. He did not expect the person behind him to hug him and stretched a hand to untie his belt. Qiaoyuan. Tang Qiaoyuan answered in a low voice, not concealing his desire. He titled his head and gently bit his earlobe, the body behind him sticking even closer, coaxing him, Let's finish washing up fast. Fang Su felt tickled and slightly laughed. He twisted his head to avoid him, but his waist was being firmly held so he could only move a few inches away. That person got to kiss him already, but he still wanted to tease him and turned him unbearably on. Tang Qiaoyuan's deep voice slowly laughed along with him. Summer clothes only had a few layers and they were quickly loosened. Fang Su held Tang Qiaoyuan's hand that was touching the side of his waist, finally stopping him and said, The water is too hot, let's wait for a little longer. But Tang Qiaoyuan thought that the temperature was just right and answered, One should bathe in hot water in summer. Besides, it isn't good to wash in cool water." As he spoke, he pulled off Fang Su's robes, then his inner pants, peeling Fang Su cleanly. The air around the bathtub was warm and humid. Fang Su wasn't cold, so his cheeks were flushed red. Tang Qiaoyuan liked this expression of him the most. His palm caressed the warm side of Fang Su's face for a while until he turned his body around and led his hand to his waist. His intention was obvious. Before, Fang Su was unbearably embarrassed during this act. He didn't usually refuse, but he never took the initiative either. This time, however, his finger merely twitched imperceptibly. He gently moved his head to meet Tang Qiaoyuan's halfway for a kiss while his hand moved to help him undress, letting the slippery clothes fall down layer by layer. Tang Qiaoyuan felt his heart soften and remembered their first time together on their wedding night. Although he was under the influence of the love potion, making the images quite distant and vague, the feeling, however, was quite distinct. Just thinking about the inexperienced and submissive look Fang Su had, he couldn't help but felt his whole body heating up, making him just want to take good care of him. And after the love potion had been cured, he decided that he didn't want to restrain his lustful thoughts anymore and treated this as actually their first time making love. Tang Qiaoyuan could now actually realize this deep affection. It didn't matter whether it was something he got used to or if it was developed over time. The main thing was that he wasn't confused or at a loss anymore. Being free of any influence, he could tell that he had always loved Fang Su and he had never forgotten the feelings of falling in love with him. Fang Su had once thought that he had lost Tang Qiaoyuan, but his man came for him right away and treated him tenderly as usual, although they both recognized that there was something strange with things. After Fang Su encountered danger, Tang Qiaoyuan finally understood that his attempt of being considerate was superfluous because he deeply loved Fang Su to begin with. His heart had always been sincere, as he had fallen too deeply for him to extricate himself. After the two of them cleared everything between them and laid their feelings to the open, it was as if they were stuck to their hips much more than before, as if they couldn't announce enough to everyone in the mansion that they were truly in love with one another. Tang Qiaoyuan wanted to kiss Fang Su whenever he looked at him. He wanted to touch him and make love with him. However, Fang Su's forehead was wounded and he suffered from headaches from time to time. No matter how distressed he was, he could only suppress the desires in his heart. He had to force himself to stop after giving him a good night kiss, then he would stroke Fang Su's back to coax him to sleep until he gradually relaxed. Then he would splash some cold water on himself to extinguish the fire in his body. Fang Su knew but said nothing and only kept everything in his heart. Now that Fang Su's wound was basically healed, Tang Qiaoyuan wasn't the only one who did not want to bear with it anymore. Fang Su closed his eyes and kissed him. His tongue took the initiative to enter that person's mouth. Tang Qiaoyuan's arms tightened around Fang Su, then he sighed and carried him into the bathtub. The hot bath water enveloped their bodies. It was summer to begin with, so Fang Su immediately felt hot with his face turning red, a layer of pink spread on the fair skin all over his body. After a short while, him who usually didn't sweat, also slowly started to perspire from his neck. Fang Su felt so warm to the point that he felt weak. He leaned on Tang Qiaoyuan's shoulder, letting his hands caress his body. The tub wasn't spacious enough and Tang Qiaoyuan was afraid that it wouldn't be very comfortable. So, he restrained himself and controlled his erratic breathing, then he thoughtfully and carefully helped turn Fang Su's body to side. Holding the wooden ladle, he slowly poured water on Fang Su's hair to help him wash his hair. "Be careful of your wound." Tang Qiaoyuan coaxed him as he was afraid that he would move his head and hurt himself. Hearing that, Fang Su leaned against him and remained still. It wasn't the first time he got injured, so he naturally knew that he should be careful. He slightly closed his eyes and enjoyed it, feeling warmth in his heart. Tang Qiaoyuan's movements were particularly gentle. His eyes curved as he looked at Fang Su's languid appearance, as if serving Fang Su was a source of pride, a feeling that he was getting addicted to. He was very careful that it took him a long time to fully wash Fang Su clean from head to toe. The water was starting to cool off as the person in his arm had already sunk into a deep sleep. Tang Jiaoyuan wiped him dry and took him back to the bed. The half-awake and half-asleep Feng Sui turned around, his wet hair made a damp spot on the bed sheets. Tang Jiaoyuan hurriedly picked him up, wrapped a cotton towel around his hair and wiped it patiently. He freed one of his hands to pinch Feng Su's cheek as he said, "Wake up, Su. Your hair is still wet. You will catch a cold if you sleep like this." Feng Su woke up confusedly. He turned around to look at Tang Jiaoyuan and gradually regained his senses, then he opened his arms. Tang Jiaoyuan stopped his movements, curved his lips and held him to sit up. He initially thought that Feng Su only wanted to sit up, but unexpectedly, the person under him raised his head to kiss him in such a posture, with warm arms wrapped around his neck, taking advantage of the fact that both of them were not separated by clothes to gently rub against him. Tang Jiaoyuan's eyes suddenly darkened. How could he still restrain himself with this? He immediately took control and kissed Feng Su until his tongue felt numb. "Jiaoyuan," Feng Su called out in a low voice. The box of ointment next to the pillow was quietly opened. The cool paste was rubbed and applied in his body by those burning hot fingers. Feng Su braced his feet against the quid until he couldn't endure it anymore. He raised a leg and hooked it around that person's strong waist, urging him to hurry up without a word. Tang Jiaoyuan's eyes showed the trace of a smile. He withdrew his fingers and held that robust thing on his lower body that has been enduring for days and propped it into Feng Su's pleasurable intimate spot. As if to torture Feng Su, he pushed it in very slowly. "Su, does it hurt?" His man kissed the corners of his eyes in a query. Feng Su shook his head upon hearing him and used his cheeks to rub against him. Tang Jiaoyuan let out a low chuckle and tugged him into a sitting position, making his thing move deeper and deeper inside Feng Su, who felt languid as he sat squarely on top of the other man's body. After some time, he realized that his man was not moving at all. Who knew what came to his mind, but he braced his hands against Tang Jiaoyuan's shoulder and started moving up and down by himself. Feng Su's cheeks were burning hot as he moved and impaled himself again and again of his own will, with his eyes getting glazed as he buried his head in Tang Jiaoyuan's neck, licking and biting it randomly. Tang Jiaoyuan breathing was getting more and more erratic as he felt the happiness of someone who got his wish fulfilled, enjoying the fact that Feng Su was taking the initiative. Occasionally, he would hold Feng Su's butt cheeks up, only to slam it down to thrust deeper into his sweet spot so he could hear his sweet moans. Feng Su wanted to do more and more, but his waist was getting sore and he was starting to get tired. He didn't want to stop, but he had run out of stamina and could only sit on top of his man's body. He shallowly grinned from time to time. The place where they were connected was a sticky mess, making a slightly wet sound. Tang Jiaoyuan stroked his long wet hair. Seeing that he didn't have any strength anymore, he took control. He kneaded his buttocks and started to thrust, going in and out vigorously, much more forcefully than before. Feng Su was pounded until he slightly choked with sobs and couldn't bear it anymore. He bit Tang Jiaoyuan's shoulder as the pleasure overwhelmed him. It took him a long time to come down from his climax, leaving deep bite marks on his man. Tang Jiaoyuan held him in his arms in satisfaction. As if making up for the time when he had to restrain himself, he pressed Feng Su to the bed and very quickly started a new attack. The light did not go off for the whole night, with the bed curtains continued shaking. The next day, Feng Su was asleep for half of the day as expected. He was originally supposed to go out for a walk with his man, but his whole body really felt weak, as if all the bones in his body was dismantled. He didn't feel like moving even the slightest at all, not to mention getting out of bed and going out. Tang Jiaoyuan did not say anything either. He knew that he went a bit overboard the night before, though he couldn't bring himself to be sorry. With how arousing Feng Su was, how could he resist? Thus, he let him sleep in and only woke him up for a short while to coax him to eat and drink. It wasn't until the day after that Feng Su finally regained some energy, only then did Tang Jiaoyuan take him out. Feng Su sat in the horse carriage. The carriage's wheels continued to roll forward and he had no idea where they were going. Outside the curtains, the scenery was getting quieter. It seems that they had already left the city. Fang Su was in high spirits as he turned his head and asked with interest, "Xiao Yuan, where are we going?" "Going to the temple." His man sat closer and looked outside along with him. He said with a smile, "I want to take you to the temple to worship Buddha and pray that you can stay safe and worry-free for the rest of your life." Fang Su's eyes softened, looking at him with his lips pursed into a smile. This temple was built on a hillside of a green mountain outside of the city. After leaving the city, the horse carriage traveled for about 2 hours before arriving. Fang Su was helped off from the carriage by Tang Qiaoyuan, looking with novelty at the scenery around the temple. Such a place had been described many times by the teacher during his childhood, but it was the first time that he was seeing it with his own eyes. Tang Qiaoyuan saw his happy look and knew that he liked it. It put him in a good mood as he held his hand and walked inside. The temple was very quiet, and one could hear the voices of the monk chatting from afar, unable to distinguish where it came from. In the wide courtyard, young little monks who were sweeping the yard would appear from time to time. Each of them was not taller than the broom's handle, but they were all diligently doing their job. They would also put their hands together to greet them upon seeing them, letting out a soft Amitabha. Fang Su found them cute and always smiled lightly in return. After going through several courtyards, and climbing several steps, the two of them arrived at the hall where the statue of Buddha was. The big statue of Buddha had benevolent eyes, sitting tall as if he was looking at the visitors. After entering the hall, Fang Su followed Tang Qiaoyuan to give offerings and light incense. Fang Su wasn't sure how he should conduct himself in this situation and could only follow the example of the man with him. They kneeled on the praying mat and closed their palms together in prayer. Tang Qiaoyuan had come to the temple before, but the instances could be counted with the fingers of one hand, as there was nothing that he wished to pray for before. However, he now had something that he fervently wished for in his heart. As if he wanted to pour out over 20 years' worth of appeals, he looked up with a sincere and respectful gaze. He curved his lips as he said, "This mortal has 3 wishes that I hope Buddha will bestow his blessings upon. First, I pray for health with no sickness befalling on me. The second is for the Tang mansion to be peaceful and not attract any disaster." He was praying very seriously. Fang Su put his hands together with his eyes closed as he listened to each word of Tang Qiaoyuan very attentively. His voice paused there. Tang Qiaoyuan kowtowed 3 times, then said with deeper affection, "The third is that I pray that I can be with Fang Su forever and never to part." Fang Su opened his eyes as the person next to him kowtowed 2 more times. He was a little stunned, his eyes looking back and forth between the Buddha's statue and the person next to him. As his last prayer was still ringing in his ears, he couldn't describe the overwhelming emotions in his heart. After a while, Fang Su curved his lips into a smile and imitated the person beside him. He carefully kowtowed as he silently prayed for the 3 wishes in his heart. The first wish was for his husband to stay safe and health, the second was for the Tang mansion to be peaceful without disaster. The third was to be with Tang Qiaoyuan forever and never to part. End of the main story. Special Fondness. Extra Chapter 1. The 5th year. The winter snow was getting thinner, ushering another new year. Fang Su didn't deliberately count the number of New Years he spent together with Tang Qiaoyuan. He was just as happy and treated each one as it was their very first, as he followed everyone in the mansion to prepare for New Year celebration. He personally helped in putting up festive decorations in the rooms and on the porch. The last lantern in the main courtyard was hung. Fang Su bent over happily and Tang Qiaoyuan extended his arms to meet him, helping him to get off from the stool. Fang Su hooked his neck and firmly stood on the porch. His man kissed his cheeks that was flushed from excitement. Then he smiled and asked, "Every year you want to hang the lanterns yourself and paste the good fortune decorations, don't you find it troublesome?" "How could it be?" Fang Su shook his head, "These things look very good. Does it look better than me?" Tang Qiaoyuan teased him. During all these years, Fang Su heard teasing such as this countless times. Now he could easily respond to them. He stretched his hand to hold his husband's face as he said with a smile, "You look the best. Suso looks the best." His man let out a low chuckle and leaned to kiss his palm. Fang Sui pursed his lips. The fluttering snow outside the porch was lined with a pure white velvet outline, neat and pleasing to the eye. Warmth passed through Tang Qiaoyuan's eyes. He couldn't help but want to kiss those upturned lips. Just as he tilted his head an inch closer, he got interrupted by footsteps that were coming near. The person who came was a young woman. She was originally walking in a dexterous way, making her previously unnoticeable. But then, she noticed the ambiguous atmosphere. She wanted to retreat, but it would instead make it appear too abrupt, so she could only hide her smile in a very natural and poised manner, and came closer to greet with a formal bow. Fang Sui put one hand on the man's shoulder in front of him and slightly pushed him away with a blushing face. He lowered his eyes as he turned his head away in embarrassment. Bai Ping was amused upon seeing this. When she opened her mouth to give her respect, she deliberately called Madam first. The person who had been called didn't know how to respond, but Tang Qiaoyuan couldn't help but chuckle. He loosened his arms around his waist and turned toward Bai Ping to speak, distracting Fang Sui from his thoughts. Today is the 21st day of the 12th lunar month. When does Bai Ping plan to return home? After saying that, Fang Sui indeed raised his eyes to look over, gazing at her with the same concern. The teasing in Bai Ping's eyes dissipated. As she thought of her family, her eyes couldn't help but show some warmth. She let out a shallow smile and replied, "This servant has just come to inform you of my leave, and is leaving tomorrow right after dusk." Her home was in the north of Linzhou City. It couldn't be said that it was just a running distance, but even it were not for the New Year festivities, she could easily come and visit her relatives every now and then. Moreover, Tang Qiaoyuan had always been kind to her, so she had greater freedom to do so. Bai Ping felt lucky and had always been grateful for this. After some thought, she spoke sincerely, "If this servant was ever needed in the mansion, master can call this servant back any time." "No need." Tang Qiaoyuan lightly shook his head, knowing that she had her own worries, and spoke consolingly, "New Year should be celebrated properly with one's family. We have enough people in the mansion who doesn't have their own home to return to. Before you leave tomorrow, get enough lucky money and do not forget to reward each person in the mansion." This servant naturally remembers. Bai Ping and bow in reverence. After dealing with trivial matters, she didn't seem to be in a hurry to leave, with the desire to speak some more could be seen in her eyes. Fang Sui could see that Tang Qiaoyuan noticed that she had something more to say. Seeing her unusual expression, he couldn't really figure what could it be about, but he was particularly concerned about the disdainful expression in Tang Qiaoyuan's face. Finally, Tang Qiaoyuan's interest was piqued, so he took the initiative to prompt her to speak. "Is there something else?" Instead of speaking bluntly, Bai Ping tried talking in a roundabout way. "Today, this servant has heard some gossip from Lu City." Tang Qiaoyuan's brow wrinkled indistinctly, but on the side, Fang Sui's expression remained unchanged. Obviously, he hadn't linked their old friend with Lu City, or perhaps, he never knew about the connection between that place and that old friend from the beginning. Tang Qiaoyuan was silent for a moment. Although he wasn't exactly interested to know what happened to Qin Meiwan, he really did not want Fang Sui to be reminded of her. The one thing he was most afraid of was that he would be reminded of the terrible memories he had gone through all those years ago. He stayed silent on his side. The ever-perceptive Bai Ping understood in an instant and casually said, "I heard that there has been heavy snow for many days there, with the whole city covered in silver clothes, and it is hard to travel there." "It's actually good," Tang Qiaoyuan said with his expression unchanging. "A timely snow promises a good harvest." The conversation came to an abrupt end. Fang Sui was puzzled by what he heard and couldn't tell what was wrong with it, but he only smiled lightly. It was only in the afternoon, when Fang Sui was taking a light nap, that Tang Qiaoyuan left the bedroom alone to go to the main courtyard. He went to find Bai Ping to ask her the details of what she meant to relay this morning. Bai Ping stated it in great detail. The main subject of this matter used to be someone he hated. Now that he heard how bleak her fate turned out, that hatred faded as well and left him feeling nothing but indifference. Bai Ping continued relaying the news. Presumably, Master has already heard about the matter of Qin Mei Wan's marriage to someone earlier this year. That person is the second son of the Li family, a big salt merchant in Lu City. He is known for his ignorance and incompetence, who lived an indolent and indecent life as a despicable dandy. Tang Qiaoyuan nodded after hearing this. He had indeed learned of this matter before. When Qin Mei Wan got married, she couldn't be considered as a young bride anymore, a rare case for a woman in her 20s who was yet to be betrothed in their local area. The Qin family used to have matchmakers jostling each other in their threshold, became desolate. The matter was further exacerbated by the fact that the Tang mansion had cut ties with the Qin family had spread quickly all over Lu City and became the topic of conversation of all kinds of people after tea and dinner. This resulted in matchmakers avoiding the Qin family like the plague. Although in reality, Qin Mei Wan and Tang Qiaoyuan had no relationships at all, the rumors that spread around were quite nasty. Rumor have it that Qin Mei Wan was a discarded plaything. The talented woman who should have been sought after suddenly became a frivolous woman that was despised by others. Having lost face, Master Qin got so furious that his old illness relapsed. He was so angered that he remained bedridden for a few more months. Qin Mei Wan was disheartened and shut herself up in her courtyard in dejection, not aware of the passing time outside. Until suddenly one day, the Li family came at their door to propose marriage. A few years ago, the second son of the Li family had actually hired a matchmaker to propose marriage once. At that time, Qin Mei Wan's standards were over the top and treated him as beneath her considerations. At that time, her sights were set on Tang Qiaoyuan and ruthlessly rejected their proposal. Now that her reputation was in tatters, not only did second young Master Li not look down on her, but on the contrary, he treated the matter as a rare opportunity and picked up this loaf of steamed bun. Whether she was innocent or not, it was not something the second young Master Li cared about. Aside from being a renowned talent, what interested him from the beginning was only Qin Mei Wan's gorgeous face anyways. Although it was not true love, the situation worked for both parties. After second young Master Li took Qin Mei Wan as a wife, the novelty only lasted for half a year and second young Master Li went back to his old habit of frequenting brothels, leaving his wife at home by herself in her rooms. How could someone like Qin Mei Wan bear this kind of humiliation? Not to mention that she never had feelings for second young Master Li from the beginning, she was of the opinion that she was not in the wrong for marrying him to improve her predicament. Who knew that this man didn't not know how to appreciate his good fortune by not cherishing her? She could not tolerate this sort of betrayal. She immediately resorted to her old evil ways and acted ruthlessly against anyone who seduced the second young Master Li. The second young Master Li was not someone kind either. He couldn't care less if the gentle beauty he was hugging the day before turned up disabled or dead the next day. He only moved on to the next one and found that he quite enjoyed Qin Mei Wan's competitive nature. This went on until everyone became aware that Qin Mei Wan was one scary jealous woman and made everyone in the brothels avoided second young Master Li. This angered second young Master Li, who resorted into squandering his family's fortune by tossing out thousands of gold until someone finally threw themselves in his arms. That bold woman was a popular prostitute in Lu City. People call her Lady Qing Yat. To be able to climb to the top, she was naturally not a simple and kind person. After she got together with second young Master Li, she took precautions against Qin Mei Wan's retaliations. She originally thought that if Qin Mei Wan knew her place, she could overlook things, but if Qin Mei Wan really did something to harm her, she would also not show mercy. But who was Qin Mei Wan? How could she tolerate that? It would be strange if she didn't make things difficult. Thus, she reverted to her old ways and bribed ruffians to do her dirty deeds. When Lady Qing Ye learned about it, she remained calm and did not panic. Instead, she offered more money to the people who were hired to do her harm, and on the same night, they abducted Qin Mei Wan and kept her in an abandoned temple outside of the city. Lady Qingye was someone extremely cruel and merciless. She was not someone who will let her enemies off. In the past, Qin Meiwan was the only one who was ruthless against others, but now, the table had turned and she finally suffered the fear and a miserable end. Tang Qiaoyuan felt a chill ran down his spine when he heard that. He was conscious that he wasn't some kind of good person either. Who knew that his viciousness was nothing compared to this seemingly frail woman? He restrained the nausea in his stomach and questioned, so that Lady Qingye, what did she do to Qin Meiwan? Bai Ping spoke calmly at the beginning, but at this point, she couldn't help but pause. Her tone dropped to a gloomy tone as she said with a low voice, her eyes were poked blind and her hands and feet were cut off, then they set the temple on fire. Is she dead? No, Bai Ping shook her head. A few people happened to pass by that night, put out the fire and saved Qin Meiwan. But the smoke was thick and heavy and thus, she suffered damage by smoke inhalation. Tang Qiaoyuan's heart felt uncomfortable upon hearing that. After a while, he reluctantly commented, she would have been better off dead. After saying this, he remembered something as a strange thought emerged in his mind and lingered on for a while. It was a shocking scene when he was young. The lake in Tang Mansion mirrored the green foliage, but one day, a corner of it was dyed in blood color as a poor bunny floated miserably in the water. The young Tang Qiaoyuan at that time was frightened into taking a step back, and stared at it blankly. After a long moment, he bent down and dry-retched as tears flowed out from his eyes. He could not speak and only resentful thought formed in his mind. From then on, he refused to love something or someone else unless he had enough power to protect them, and only when he ensured that the vicious Qin Meiwan would never appear around him anymore. He buried the traumatic experience within his heart. After 10 or so years, Tang Qiaoyuan gradually became mature and many old memories were put at the back of his mind. Only one thought remained which he never let go of. He really did not raise any pet anymore, nor did he fell in love with anyone. If it wasn't for the debacle with the special fondness potion and a strange combination of circumstances that created all of these, he was afraid that it would have been harder for him and Fang Sui to have such a fate. The cause was due to Qin Meiwan and the consequence was also due to Qin Meiwan. Tang Qiaoyuan didn't know what to say and could only sigh and noted that, good and evil, one will reap what they sowed. Now that Qin Meiwan's end weirdly turned up the same as that poor bunny back then, Tang Qiaoyuan couldn't tell if he pitied her or not, but the hatred in his heart was almost erased. The snowflakes fluttered down as a few crystal-clear fragments stuck on Tang Qiaoyuan's sleeves. He sighed and shook his head. Then he thought about how during this New Year's festivities, Master Qin's house would surely be gloomy and desolate. As their old relations came to his mind, he found the thought unbearable and said, make sure that this wouldn't be spread any further around, especially within Madame's hearing. As for the Qin mansion, it would be good if they could find a doctor who have miraculous cure, otherwise, things could only end in tragedy. Bai Ping knew how complicated his feelings must be and couldn't help but console, it is this servant that shouldn't have mentioned this matter to master. I would have learned about it sooner or later anyways. Tang Qiaoyuan waved his hand, signaling for her not to blame herself, and continued, I just couldn't help but feel strongly about this. But don't worry, it's not as if I had forgotten the enmities of the past. Bai Ping let a sigh in relief and shallowly curved her lips, then master, please allow this servant to add one more thing about this matter with Qin Meiwan. In this servant's opinion, she had done a lot of atrocities to you. Now that yourself and madam are safe, you shouldn't worry about anything else. Each word of this girl jabbed at Tang Qiaoyuan's heart. He smiled as some usual sign of appreciation floated in his eyes. He said with a smile, you have always been good with words. Bai Ping was not modest at all and gave a hearty bow. After such a witty exchange, the heavy atmosphere slowly disappeared. Tang Qiaoyuan did not talk about it anymore. After mentioning Fang Sui, his heart felt warm as he returned to the bedroom to accompany the person who was still in a deep sleep. Several stoves were burning in the room. Tang Qiaoyuan was afraid that Fang Sui would catch a cold during the winter season, so this time when he went back to the room, he saw that Fan Su was feeling too hot and had overturned the blankets. It made him laugh. It was so counterproductive, Tang Qiaoyuan thought while walking toward the windows. He opened the window a bit wider and moved 2 copper furnaces away. Then he sat next to the bed and carefully covered Fang Su with the quilt. Fang Su felt cold and felt hot at times. He was originally deeply asleep, but with such gentle movements, he unexpectedly woke up, looked at the person who came with half-lidded eyes and smiled at him. Tang Qiaoyuan's heart softened. He simply took off his outer robe and lay on the bed to join Fang Su under the quilt. Fang Su slowly moved within his embrace. He felt that this body was a little cold and not as warm as usual, but did not let go. On the contrary, he held him closer and asked him with a soft voice, "Qiaoyuan, your body is cold. Did you went outside?" Tang Qiaoyuan kissed his brows and eyes and kissed him to his heart's content. Then he replied, "I stood a while under the snow to talk to Bai Ping. She is going back home tomorrow, so she is going to be busier today." Fang Su listened to his words and nodded. He stretched his hands to hug Tang Qiaoyuan with his palms, rubbing his back lightly as if he could warm him up with these little movements. Tang Qiaoyuan let a low laugh escape and he couldn't bear to stop him. After a while, he really felt heartache for his sore hand and just turned sideways happily, stopping his rubs and said, "I'm not cold." Fang Su was still half asleep and he was unusually affectionate during these moments. Using the way his husband's hand was positioned, he held his hand and moved it to his waist and pushed himself further in his embrace as he spoke with syrupy voice, "Qiaoyuan, accompany me to sleep for a while, all right?" "All right." Tang Qiaoyuan's consideration for him was endless. He hugged him well and patted him to coax him. Seeing that he closed his eyes before finishing his sentence, it seemed that he would fall into a deep sleep in an instant. The room was quiet with only the occasional sizzling sound of the burning charcoal on the stove could be heard. That person couldn't help but think once again about the matter he had heard just now. The more he thought about it, the more emotional he felt. He spoke to Fang Su in an extremely light voice, "Su, Bai Ping was right. As long as you are fine, why should I bother thinking how others were?" Fang Su fell asleep again, but for some unknown reasons, he seemed to be responding to Tang Qiaoyuan's words as he rubbed his cheek against his neck. Tang Qiaoyuan couldn't help the smile that came to his face. With his eyes full of love, he dropped a kiss on his hair. Counting the days, today was the 21st, tomorrow will be the 22nd, wait until the 23rd and then the year would really be over. Before, he never really bothered counting the years that had passed by. But now, he was meticulously taking note. This was the 5th year he had been spending with Fang Su. He would surely keep him for the next 10 years, no 100 years. That sounded so good. Tang Qiaoyuan inhaled the fragrance in Fang Su's hair and thought with a smile, being like this was very nice. He would do more good deeds in the future so as to accumulate merits so he could seek blessings of longevity. The longer he lives the better. That way, he could accompany his most important person to walk that long life step by step. End chapter. Special Fondness. Extra Chapter 2. Concentric Knot. A new flower grew from the courtyard's green grass. The bud was a light purple. Standing tall amongst the green leaves, it was completely different from the surrounding green grass, particularly eye-catching and pitiful. Fang Su was resting on the couch after dinner. As he was dazedly drifting into dreamland, he seemed to be hearing Tang Qiaoyuan calling for him. He was as gentle as usual, calling him affectionately a few times, urging him to wake up. Fang Su opened his eyes but saw that the room was empty and quiet. The person in his dream wasn't next to him. The summer days were slightly hot. Thin sweat seeped out of his forehead after taking an afternoon nap. He stretched out his hand to push the window open to let more breeze in. Then he leaned over to look through the window, searching for Tang Qiaoyuan's silhouette in the courtyard. He found no one, but his gaze was suddenly caught by that little purple flower. He had never seen it before, which made him pleasantly surprised. Fang Sui turned over to get off the bed. He walked towards the courtyard to take a closer look. He crouched down beside it and tilted his head to admire it, carefully stoking it. The flower bud was just about to open as if it was shy and timid. But it welcomed the very soft touch of his fingertips. Fang Sui looked at it for a long moment and thought about Tang Qiaoyuan again. He wanted to find him so they could admire the flower together. But unexpectedly, it seemed that he had squatted there for such a long time that he felt dizzy when he suddenly got up. He closed his eyes and took half a step back. When he opened his eyes once again, there was someone behind who held him firmly. He didn't know when exactly had Tang Qiaoyuan returned to his side. He dropped a kiss on his ear, his voice carried a smile as he said, "Be more careful." Fang Sui turned around to look at him and kissed him back just below his eyes as he asked him without laughing, "Where did Qiaoyuan go?" "Just now I had something to do so I went out of the mansion," Tang Qiaoyuan explained briefly and didn't say anything more. Then he looked left and right and asked him, "What is Sui Sol looking down here?" Fang Sui did not think deeply about it. He tugged at his sleeves and motioned for him to look down as he replied happily, "Look Qiaoyuan, a new flower grew here. I've never seen it before." It looks good," a little purple flower grew among the green grass. "It is very unique. If you like it, then let people take care of it." Fang Sui nodded after hearing that. He thought about the fact that there would be occasional rain shower during the season and was afraid it would hurt the plant. It indeed needed more care. It would be better to plant it into a pot and put under the eaves to be protected. Then he could wait for the plant to thrive before moving it back to the courtyard. At this time, he had already forgotten that Tang Qiaoyuan went out of the mansion to go somewhere to do who knew what. By the time he recalled the matter, it was already the afternoon of the next day. When Fang Sui woke up from his nap, it felt like it was a repeat of the day before. Tang Qiaoyuan was nowhere to be found, leaving only the flowers on the porch standing desolate in the pots. He was standing on one side and looked around as some uneasiness started emerging in his heart. He patiently waited for a while before he saw his man return to the courtyard. Fang Sui went forward to welcome him. He originally wanted to ask him where did he go, but at that moment, he found it difficult to speak. He only felt at ease upon seeing him. He tried to open his lips but in the end, he didn't say a single word and only smiled. Tang Qiaoyuan realized that he was unsettled but didn't say anything. So he coaxed Fang Sui for a while as if nothing happened and brought him back to the room. For 3 or 4 consecutive days, things happened like this. When nap time arrived that day, he feigned sleep and secretly followed behind Tang Qiaoyuan when he went out of the mansion. Tang Qiaoyuan didn't go far. He did not even ride the carriage and only walked half a street. Then he turned around and he entered an elegant shop. Fang Sui stood across the street and stared inside that shop only to vaguely see a young charming girl standing next to Tang Qiaoyuan and was telling him something which made Tang Qiaoyuan smiled. That warmth in his eyes, Fang Sui couldn't be more familiar with it. For an instant, his mind went blank and he didn't know whether he should advance or retreat. There were not many people on the street as it was the hottest time of the day. Although he was standing under the eaves, his back was full of sweat. Fang Sui couldn't move. His feet felt as if they were weighing thousands of catties, embedding them where he stood. His eyes kept looking inside the shop across the street for a long while until Tang Qiaoyuan finally came out and saw him as soon as he raised his head to look ahead. Tang Qiaoyuan's face showed a surprised look. Soon after, a comprehending expression came across his face. With a frown, he stepped forward and opened his mouth to start explaining. Fang Sui shook his head. He had always been a man of few words, but this time, he was the one to speak first. If you like her, then take her to the mansion. I won't blame you. The words were already formed in his mind, but in the end, he failed to say it properly. Only then did Fang Sui learn that he couldn't be that generous. He felt jealous and frantic as he wanted Tang Qiaoyuan to only have him in his heart. Tang Qiaoyuan sighed when he saw how Fang Sui's eyes were already brimming with tears. He extended his palms towards him, revealing an exquisite concentric knot. So already forgotten that today is the 7th of the 7th month, Tang Jiaoyuan felt distressed and regretted it a bit that he hid this from Fang Su. At this moment, he couldn't care less about surprising him and only did his best to coax him. Lady Lin has nimble fingers. I only went to find her to get a pair of silver knots for you, but you like to let your imagination go wild. Fang Su looked distractedly at the pair of small objects and lifted his eyes to look at him. The feeling of being wronged had yet to disappear from his eyes. It looked like he hadn't comprehended what was said. Tang Jiaoyuan lifted his sleeve to wipe the sweat off from Fang Su's forehead. He thought that Fang Su must have been standing there for a long time and felt his heart ache. He wrapped his fingers around him and took him back to the mansion. Fang Su was silent the whole way back. After returning to the mansion, Tang Jiaoyuan held him properly and carefully coaxed him for a long time. When Fang Su understood everything and his heart was at ease again, he lifted his head and kissed Tang Jiaoyuan affectionately. After a while, Tang Jiaoyuan tied the silver knot at his waist. I wanted to surprise you with them tonight, but I did not know that it would make you worried instead. It's my fault. Is it I who? Fang Su admitted his mistake, but before he got to finish his sentence, he was kissed by Tang Jiaoyuan. My Su is right no matter what he does. Fang Su laughed out loud. The unhappiness he felt during these last few days vanished like smoke in thin air. The silver ornament on his waist was a pair of that in Tang Jiaoyuan's waist. Conversation in the bedchamber didn't necessarily composed of words. Just then he remembered how it was written in books. Concentric knots. Attached for 100 years. Without regret when alive. Unchanging even in death. End chapter. Special Fondness. Extra Chapter 3. Cherishing Good Fortune. Once upon a time, there was a renowned villain in Linzhou City. It couldn't be said that he was very wicked. He opened a few gambling dens, managed some restaurants and kept a few thugs. He was known to be a taciturn man. Apart from a few close friends, not many people get to see his smiles, even less his enemies. When dealing with his enemies, this villain certainly had no room for mercy. Every family in the city was so scared of him that they would lower their gazes whenever they came across him for fear that any carelessness would lead to misfortune. But after some time, Linzhou City suddenly had one less villain and one more benevolent person. It's not like this good person was a living bodhisattva, but he would help poor families from time to time and rescue a few stray girls that were kidnapped in passing. He became more sympathetic to the brothers under him and gave them some small amount for them to enjoy some food and wine. Tang Jiaoyuan slowly took a sip of tea and examined himself critically. I still am the master of the mansion, right? But then his wife opened his mouth to speak. Jiaoyuan, the rain fell non-stop a few days ago, making the river water rise. It damaged the Zhuangyuan Bridge in the east of the city. By Tang Jiaoyuan blurted out without thinking when he realized that the word was not appropriate, so he changed what he was saying to repair it. Fang Su's expression was compliant, but he was not finished speaking yet. The wealthy households in the city have donated some amount, and this morning when they came to ask at the Tang mansion, it only fell short of a little amount. How much? 200 taels of silver. Tang Jiaoyuan made an estimation. These wealthy households probably didn't even donate 100 taels. If it wasn't for the fact that Fang Su was here now, no one would have dared to come to the Tang mansion to take advantage. He smiled, but before he could even say that they would give donation, he heard Fang Su continued with some hesitations, they need 200 taels more. It's a little too much this time. Upon hearing that, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. He put down the teacup in his hand and sat by the window next to his man. His interest was piqued. Do you feel distressed about it? It isn't a problem. Tomorrow this husband will go to the gambling den himself and win a few games to get that amount back. Fang Su gently tugged at his sleeve, telling him to stop talking nonsense without speaking a single word. I'm not going, Tang Jiaoyuan took his hand and brought him into his arms to coax him, so can be at ease. Although your husband is not as rich as an emperor, it isn't a problem to repair those few bridges. Fang Su laughed out loud. However, there was still some guilt in his heart. As if giving money for a good cause was his fault and he was making Tang Jiaoyuan bore the lost. He didn't exactly know what to say, but the expression on his face spoke it all. While Fang Su was contemplating things, Tang Jiaoyuan was making a good guess of what was going on in his head. Tang Jiaoyuan restrained himself from poking fun at him. He embraced him against the wall and pretended to speak casually, Su is doing good deeds in order to accumulate virtue and merit on my behalf. Fang Su tilted his head to look over as he listened to him seriously without blinking. I have never done such good deeds before. I thought that I would be on my own, so I am not worried if retribution came one day. Even sudden death is nothing to fear. Fang Su became anxious upon hearing that and suddenly tightened his hold on Tang Jiaoyuan. The man beside him patted him to reassure him. It's different now. I am older than you by 8 or 9 years old. What I am scared of was leaving this world before you, leaving you alone and uncared for. That's why Su being benevolent is the same as making up for my past misdeeds. For me, nothing could be better. Aside from you, I have no other family. Riches are nothing but worldly possession. You can spend it however much you want. Hearing that, Fang Su felt choked. Tang Jiaoyuan spoke kind words, though it was mostly warm honeyed words. It was vastly different today. However, Fang Su didn't want to hear such talks of them parting due to death. Tang Jiaoyuan didn't want him to be left alone and uncared for, but how could he be willing to be left behind to suffer alone? He suppressed the injustice in his heart and spoke lively, that would be hard, I will surely be gone later than you. Tang Jiaoyuan feigned surprise. My Su has learned to talk back. Pretending not to notice his reddened eyes, he dropped a light kiss on his forehead and stopped talking about these gloomy things with him. Fang Su chuckled softly and lifted his head to meet his kiss. A gust of wind slipped through the corridor, carrying along the fragrance of grass and trees. The endless rain had finally stopped, leaving a sunny day. Tang Jiaoyuan readjusted his sleeves and carried Fang Su as he stood up, taking advantage that it was still daytime to take a walk outside the mansion. It just so happened that they can go to the east of the city to take a look at that broken bridge that needed to be repaired. Before leaving, he didn't forget to take some extra things, including the 200 taels, so Fang Su could be at ease. Such merit would add a few days of longevity for him, so he could accompany Fang Su to grow old, year after year, passing the countless years together. End chapter. Special Fondness. Extra Chapter 4. Keeping a wolf company. The new moon hung in the night mountain, everything was quiet under the cold branches and leaves. The quiet moon's brightness covered the creatures in the forest and were in deep slumber. It was tranquil as the curtain closed on the world. After a while, there was suddenly a crash of thunder in the sky, with fiery lightning tore through the night sky, suddenly startling awake the beings of the world. Large raindrops gradually fell from the sky. All kinds of animals in the forest arched their backs in panic, fleeing away in a hurry. A trembling rabbit emerged from the underbrush. It looked around anxiously, then stretched its short legs and ran, looking for a cave to take shelter from the rain. It stumbled all the way while the sound of thunder was incessant. With every sudden crash of thunder, the rabbit trembled with fear. It was running like a headless fly, not knowing when it found a hole hidden in the depths of the bushes. The rabbit blinked and couldn't be too careful as it sneaked inside. In the cave, the sound of thunder was muffled and the tension it felt due to the thunder was finally relieved. The rabbit shook the water off its fur. Then it stretched its limbs, wanting to find a clean spot to rest. How could it know that when it turned around, a shadow covered its whole body as the dangerous aura enveloping the beast swept in? The limbs of the rabbit turned stiff. It lifted its eyes and its red eyes locked gazes with the wild wolf in front of it. Only then did the rabbit learn that it had entered a wolf's den, as if walking straight into a trap. The thunderstorm helped to deliver a feast for the wild wolf. The big wild wolf bowed slowly. It opened its large mouth and approached the rabbit. For a moment, the rabbit didn't even know how to tremble and dropped its long white ears in desperation. The sharp wolf fangs touched the back of his neck, and in the next moment, it actually gently held up the small thing in its mouth, turned around to walk toward the haystack in the cave and carefully placed the rabbit on it. The little rabbit curled up on the haystack like a dead rabbit. After a while, it racked its eyes open to take a peek. The big wild wolf lay next to it and was sleeping. One wolf claw was hugging and pulling the rabbit into his embrace to warm it up. It seemed to enjoy the soft and lovely furball as the wolf happily swayed its tail slightly. The brain of the little rabbit became overwhelmed. It was dazed from the combination of shock and fear. It felt so tired that it snuggled up to the fluffy fur and fell asleep. The big wild wolf was hugging the small lump and was thinking as to where did this silly thing came from that it couldn't even distinguish a wolf's den. Although it didn't know where it came from, it better not think about running away. The morning light broke in as the spring sun rose slowly. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. A warm thread of light passed through the window's rail and shone on the bedside curtains. Tang Jiaoyuan woke up leisurely. The wolf and the rabbit were still vaguely in his mind, but the scene of the stone in the cave gradually became clear and turned to a brocade quilt. Only then did he realize that he just had a dream. The person in his embrace was still sleeping. Tang Jiaoyuan laughed at himself for dreaming about that kind of bizarre absurdity. Then his gaze fell on Fang Su's eyebrows and felt that the soft rabbit was in his embrace, which didn't surprise him at all. Thinking absent-mindedly about the first time they stayed together, Fang Su saw him for the first time on their wedding night. He was honestly no different from the rabbit in his dream, timid and overcautious, but he quietly snuggled up to him after falling asleep. Tang Jiaoyuan's eyes were full of tenderness. The more he thought about it, the more charmed he felt. He bowed down and kissed the corner of Fang Su's eyes. After doing all these things, Fang Su was finally disturbed from his sleep. Being vaguely awake, he half opened his eyes and felt that the daylight was still weak. He stretched his arms to loop them around his man as his mouth whispered "husband," and asked in a daze, "It's still early. Do you want to get up?" Not getting up, Tang Jiaoyuan's heart seemed to be slightly ticked, patting and coaxing him to sleep some more, sleep some more. Fang Su whispered something again, closed his eyes and looked for his hand. He then warmly hooked his finger around it, as if it would make him more reassured this way. Tang Jiaoyuan couldn't help but smile and gave him a peck on the ear. Then he whispered to himself, "This bunny is quite courageous." There were some distinct differences though. After all, the one in his dream turned up without being invited, but the one in his arms, even if he fell to the ends of the earth, he would find him to keep him by his side and stay for a lifetime as the wolf's companion. End chapter. Special Fondness. Extra chapter. A few snippets. Sleep talking. Fang Su had been having many dreams lately. Sometimes, he would even sleep talk with his voice light and low. It was extremely gentle, but it could still be easily heard. Tang Jiaoyuan seemed to have found a new source of amusement, as he never told Fang Su about this. He merely observed on the side mischievously and even had conversations with him. No matter what was Fang Su dreaming about or what he was saying, Tang Jiaoyuan always took delight in it, shamelessly inserting himself in the other man's dream. That afternoon, Fang Su was taking a small nap and started to murmur things again. He seemed to be saying that the end of the year was approaching, that they should hang red lanterns, that this time they should hang more of them, that they were very bright and pretty. Tang Jiaoyuan was sitting at the bedside, lowly chuckling twice. Then he answered him with a tease, "If you call me husband once, then I will hang one more of them." "Husband," Fang Su, who was dreaming, answered naively, going along with his words as he replied by mumbling a few words, then called again, "Husband," called twice, "Have to hang up two more." Tang Jiaoyuan laughed out loud. Fang Su was accidentally startled awake and opened his eyes in a daze. It took him a while to fully wake up and looked with confusion at the person who was full of smiles. Tang Jiaoyuan lowered his head and kissed him. Not willing to let it go, he said, "Su called me husband in his sleep and seemed to be dreaming of me lately. Could it be that he hasn't seen enough of me while he is awake?" Fang Su's face became red. "What did you dream of?" Tang Jiaoyuan asked him on purpose. Fang Su did not reply. From the moment he woke up from his dream, he found it hard to put his mind in order and could not speak. After some moments passed, only then did he stretch out a hand from below the quilt and said softly while pulling on Tang Jiaoyuan's sleeve, "The end of the year is close." Tang Jiaoyuan finally did not tease him anymore, covering his palm that was languid from the sleep and said with a smile, "The end of the year is close, let's hang a few more lanterns this year." Fang Su became distracted, thinking about that person in his dream. A moment later, he curved his eyes and nodded in return. Tang Jiaoyuan got the most valuable gentle smile he had received in his life. Meeting friends. Tang Jiaoyuan brought Fang Su along to meet his friends. In the room, a friend looked at the dark blue brocade bag at his waist and asked half jokingly and half seriously, "Say Tang Jiaoyuan, every time I see you, you carry this purse with you without ever replacing it. I keep wondering exactly what kind of treasure is that. Can I borrow it to take a look?" Upon hearing that, Tang Jiaoyuan laughed and embraced Fang Su next to him and asked, "Should I let them take a look or not?" The few friends gathered became highly interested and repeatedly poked fun at him for being a henpecked husband. The sky was clear and Fang Su's head was tilted as he was looking outside the pavilion. He wasn't actually listening to the discussion when he was suddenly addressed. He turned his head in confusion and asked, "What? Since they are laughing at me for being a henpecked husband, I have to ask for your permission." Fang Su didn't know about the situation, but when he heard what Tang Jiaoyuan said, his face suddenly turned red and could only reply softly, "You decide." "Then it's a no," Tang Jiaoyuan replied straightforwardly. Teasing his friends back, he said, "This is a treasure that was handmade by my Su. How can I let you borrow it?" This time Fang Su understood what this was about. He sighed in his heart and thought that in the future, it would be better if he doesn't come along with this person to his meetings with his friends. One's fate. On the first day of the new year, Fang Su went out of the city to sweep his mother's tomb. A secluded path led to the depths of the forest. Between the trees on the two sides were looming graves. The horse's hooves slowly prodded and after a while, it stopped in front of a simple and lonely grave. Tang Jiaoyuan helped Fang Su to get off the horse. He helped him clean up the fallen leaves and weeds in front of the grave. Looking at the rough calligraphy that hadn't even been traced in cinnabar, his heart felt a bit uncomfortable. But the person beside him had been used to it for so many years as he diligently wiped the dust off the tombstone with a cotton cloth. The image of him that was reflected in Tang Jiaoyuan's eyes was very similar to when he first saw him. Tang Jiaoyuan let out the trace of a smile as he asked, "How about looking for an auspicious day to relocate the tomb to somewhere else?" Fang Su was quite surprised by that. He considered it for a while, then he shook his head at him and said, "This place is quite good." Tang Jiaoyuan really couldn't understand what was so good about this place. It's a desolate place in the middle of nowhere, overgrown with weeds and was also quite far from the city. But since Fang Su had said it, he didn't comment anymore. He took out the incense and tribute wine from their basket and sincerely prayed along with Fang Su. As they were about to leave and Fang Su was placed properly on top of the horse, he looked around in a serene manner and whispered, "Jiaoyuan, you met me here. This place is very good. Mother gave me her blessings from there." Tang Jiaoyuan's gaze became warmed. In an instant, the weeds and desolate trees became the best landscape. "Tomorrow I will ask someone to replace the tombstone with a new one." "All right." Fang Su hugged him tightly and closed his eyes, bearing the cold breeze. The smile on Tang Jiaoyuan's lips deepened as he secured the person in his arms and gripped the rein as the horse hooves gradually quickened. Along with the disorderly sound of hooves, he remembered that at that time when he learned that he had taken a love potion, he felt furious and restless as he galloped away, not caring where he was heading. It was probably as Fang Sui said, that unseen hand must have guided his way. Thus, when he saw Fang Sui, his fate was set. Idle dream. A square and upright desk was set in the courtyard. On top of it was an incense burner with 2 wine glasses. Fang Sui stood silently beside it and was puzzled for a while. He saw the person at his side raising a toast to the sky as he spoke, with the sky above and the thick soil as witness. This Tang Jiaoyuan with Fang Sui are to become brothers with a different surname, not begging to be born on the same year, same month, and the same day, only begging to die on the same year, same month, and same day. Fang Sui's eyelid twitches and felt that these words were not right. Didn't this person told him that he was scared of dying before him, leaving him lonely and desolate? He looked sideways in confusion, only to see Tang Jiaoyuan's appearance remained the same, but he seemed to be another person as he lifted his cup and looked at him sincerely. Fang Sui struggled on how to act, but in the end, he still couldn't bear to see him disappointed, so he silently took the other cup in his hand. The eyes of the person before him were instantly full of joy. He drank the wine and made an earth-shattering promise. Sworn brother Fang, in the future, as long as this elder sworn brother has a mouthful to eat, then my sworn brother certainly won't have one less mouthful to eat. Fang Sui heard this ear-piercing form of address and his hand couldn't help but shake, spilling the liquor all over the floor. Through the window, the warm sun was brushing lightly on his face. Fang Sui woke up from his dream, looked around the quiet room and didn't return to his senses for a long time. It seemed that the 3 incense sticks from his dream were still burning in front of him. Someone called him from outside near the windowsill, "Sui, do you remember where I put my Lishan warm jade chess set?" Chen Xiang came to the mansion to pay a visit. "I am looking so I can entertain him with it." "How did you call me?" Tang Jiaoyuan was confused but answered, "Sui." Fang Sui enjoyed the sound of it for a long while. He sighed in relief. Fortunately, it wasn't sworn brother Fang anymore. He turned over to get off the bed and went to the cabinet to get the jade chess set for Tang Jiaoyuan. Tang Jiaoyuan thought he was still dazed from having just woken up. He smiled and kissed him over the railing. Then he turned around to attend to the guest. Fang Sui stayed alone in the room and carefully thought about that absurd odd dream. A little bit later, Tang Jiaoyuan, who returned after sending the guest off, noticed that Fang Sui sent out a post in their friends' group chat but forgot to exclude him. "Is there anyone out there who's an expert in dream interpretation? May I ask what phenomenon is about to appear if I dreamt about my husband turning silly? Urgently waiting for response online. Madam Tang. The phenomenon is that you probably don't want to sleep tonight." Years. Over the years, Fang Sui learned to write a notable amount of elegant characters and paint delicately. Every stroke dipped in ink on the rice paper contains a subtle style that came from Tang Jiaoyuan's brushwork. The characters looked like that of Tang Jiaoyuan, the painting style looked like his, only the temperament was not like him. After many years, Fang Sui's temperament remained unchanged. He was still as soft and gentle as water, day after day, warmly enveloping all of Tang Jiaoyuan's deep feelings. Bonus nonsense theater. Fang Sui went to see Qin Mei Wan with the note. "Mei Wan, he. I knew you would come. Sui, I have something to ask you." "Mei Wan, go on and ask, I'll tell you clearly." Fang Sui took out the note and pointed at the character after potion. "Sui, how do you read this character?" Mei Wan vomited blood and died.